This is the metaphysical understanding of when Yeshua said you have to be willing to forsake all and follow me. Following him was not to deify him. Following him was to be like him, to follow his teaching, to be willing to follow truth and to awaken to who you are. In order to do that, you have to be willing to forsake all others. That is the metaphysical meaning of that verse. You have to be willing to forsake all others. Everybody else's opinion, everybody else's view. People calling you a heretic. People calling you a backslider. People calling you lost, a sinner, saying you leading people to hell. Well, I don't heard it all. I have been told off all kind of ways. But guess what? I'm still yet declaring the truth. Why? Because I know it's right. I know it's truth. And I was willing to walk away from it all. Yeshua said, greater things shall you do than I did. That lets you know he wasn't telling you, oh, I'm it with a bag of chips. And I should be deified, worshipped. No, he was saying, I'm your big brother, and I'm here to show you what God manifested in the flesh looked like. I'm here to show you what you can be as God manifested in the flesh. When you awaken to who you are, you can walk in this same power and do greater things that I did. But many of the church people say they love the Lord, which they're referring to Jesus, and they're a follower of Jesus, but they don't do nothing Jesus said. They're more of a follower of Paul than they are of whom they call Jesus. Because every time they go to say women can't be preachers or teachers or leaders, they go to Paul. Every time they go to say a woman should be silent in church, they go to Paul. Because Yeshua, commonly called Jesus, never said that. It's a big shock when people are taught now that Yeshua wasn't a virgin. Yeshua, commonly called Jesus, was married, had children. Boy, isn't that a shocker? That there were female apostles. That the true leader that he left his group, his following, entrusted it to a woman, not Peter, like the Catholic Church like to believe. That Peter was the first pope of the church. The apostle that Yeshua left his followers, left them in charge of his movement, was a woman. But the church don't teach that because they don't teach the gospel of Mary. Why? Because it doesn't fit in their patriarchal system. So they're not going to teach that. Because all Abrahamic religions are patriarchal. And they, believe it or not, they have a disdain for women. Woo! Isn't that something? How a woman can give birth, biological woman can give birth to children and teach them all the way from childhood on up. But yet they can't be priests and priestesses in the Abrahamic religions. They could teach that boy all he knows. But then the church says she can't be the leader. Why she can't be the leader? Because if we be honest, now I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get back on track on our teaching. And we're gonna talk about why they feared ancestral connection. Why the colonizers feared ancestral connection. That's what we're gonna talk about next. But let me say this. if we be honest with ourselves, when we look at the black church belongs to the black woman, the Black Madonna. If we be honest, the black church belongs to the black woman, because without the black woman, there would be no black church. Oftentimes, she was the one that helped establish the church. She was the one that went into the neighborhood and preached and taught and held Bible circles and prayer circles and got the people to come. Women, black women, are the backbone of the African American church, or the black church in general, world over. And she was the foundation. She sold those chicken dinners, those fish fries, gave up her money, worked hard, paid the tithe and offering, raised cakes, baked cakes, sold cakes, did all kind of fundraisers to build a edifice and got the people in the building. But once she did that, the religion said, now you can't be the pastor. You got to turn it over to this man. He going to be the pastor. He didn't do nothing to make it happen, to make it manifest. But yet, he gets the credit for being the pastor. So the women did all the work. Think about it. That's right, the financial backbone. That's right. And some women, even today, that are in the church, they always talking about, oh, why there's not a lot of men in the church, honey, because the men knew that it was BS all along. Many of the men knew it was BS all along. And they knew that preacher in that pulpit wasn't living worth a nickel of what he was talking about. So many of our men never fell for it. They wasn't giving their money to the church. See, because we have been lied to and told that in order to be blessed and have financial blessings, we got to pay tithes and offering to a church. When that's so far, people are being taught the spell. A spell is being casted over them, telling them, using fear, using the tactic of fear, putting them in the middle of prison, telling them, if you don't pay your tithes and offering, you're cursed. Why would a divine creator, source of all things, who need nothing from us, want us to pay tithes and offering, require us to bring tithes and offering to a church? Knowing that the church ain't even half the time doing what they're supposed to do with the money that is coming in. Ooh, let's let that sit.